You're listening to episode 3 of the On Being Human podcast.
Welcome to the On Being Human podcast, where we believe transforming ourselves can positively transform society. Your host, Brandy Fleck, has the honor of exploring the human condition with real people who bravely share their personal stories of adversity, healing, joy, and more. If you're seeking empowerment, strength, and inspiration, listen in to engage and explore tough topics that help us humanize one another, understand ourselves better, spread love, and connect.
So many people I've talked to feel trapped in the grind of life. In the best case scenarios, jobs and relationships they merely tolerate. Or in a worst case scenario, jobs and relationships they hate. And why? Is it because we think that's what we have to do because society tells us so? If you look deeper within yourself to identify who you really are and what you really want, you'll realize that's not what we have to do, and this week's guest will tell you the same. James Ruzinok is a career Navy veteran turned software engineer turned life coach and Reiki Master. James hails from Ohio, where he grew up learning the value of hard work from his father and learned that discipline would get him far. While his career was thriving, he went on to marry and become a father to 4 sons he loves dearly. He divorced, remarried, divorced, and remarried. A story that many of us know ourselves. I've known James for 11 years. We met at a software company where he developed software and I wrote technical manuals for the software. When I first met James, he was a clean-cut, quiet type. Over the years, I saw him evolve into a long-haired, motorcycle-riding energy worker with a glow that you really can't deny. And aside from career and love, James is interested in Native American culture, music, and enjoys a newly manifested lakeside view from his back porch. Through striving to live a life truly in harmony with who he is, James met the love of his life and current wife who inspires him to pursue his life's purpose. James realized that he needed to combine discipline with spirituality to live the life he really wanted and to serve his true purpose, committing himself to reestablishing balance in the universe. And he is committed to helping others live in harmony with who they truly are. So let's dive in to explore what reestablishing balance in the universe means and how to start living your own life's purpose with tips for how to do just that. And remember, as we'll hear from James's story, the path is not always straight. And maybe that's the point. Hi, James. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me here. I was glad that you asked me to be here for an interview, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to it too. I think you've got some really unique insight into just life and how people can follow their own life path, and I'm really excited to explore it. So,
awesome.
Yeah,
I'm glad I'm here to help.
Yeah. Let's just jump in, and before we talk about what makes you you, what do you think it means to be human?
I mean, my feeling of being human is we're each unique. I mean, yeah, we each have 2 arms, 5 fingers on each hand, 2 legs and toes and all of that. So we're similar, but we're different. And by that, it's just like snowflakes. No 2 are the same. And it's just you need to be yourself. You need to be true to who you are. I mean, there's a lot of people, they run around life wondering what they are. They're trying to find themselves. Well, they're right there. They just don't take the time to think about how they're feeling about the actions they're doing, and they're trying to please other people. Well, that's never going to work.
Yeah.
The only one you could please is yourself. Other people, you can't please them because they're always going to want you to do something else.
It almost sounds a little bit like you're focused on the being part of human being. Like you think people should focus on just their existence and how they can better that, maybe?
Yes,
Would that be accurate?
That's very much true. I mean, because I believe that we lived in the spiritual form before we came here in the physical form. Mm-hmm. And then when we expire here in the physical form, our spiritual form still lives on. I believe in reincarnation. I believe people come back into physical form in different bodies as different people to experience different things. I mean, take a look at everything that that this earth has to offer us. I mean, we have so many choices. I mean, even if you're sitting there and you're looking at a choice and saying, well, I can't pick either one of them. You just made a choice, decided not to choose. So there's always options. And then all of those, we get our feedback for how are we living? How should I be from our emotions? Our emotions are our feedback mechanism to tell us this is how true I am to who I am. And if you ignore your feelings, you're not going to be living your true life. You're going to be in misery. You're going to, wonder, wow, what is there to life? Why am I here?
Right.
Yeah.
So that brings me a little bit to, in your bio on your website,
Yes.
you mentioned that you like to help people get rid of belief patterns that hold them back. So,
Oh, yes.
what are some examples of those belief patterns that hold you back?
Well, I mean, a lot of people, self-fulfilling prophecies from back when you were growing up, your parents tell you, I still have one belief pattern that I haven't got rid of yet. When I was a kid, my mother would tell me I couldn't clean windows. Today I still can't clean windows. I clean a window and there's streaks all over the place, no matter what I use. That's ingrained in me. That's a belief. Why? I could use the same thing somebody else does, and the window just doesn't get clean. There's other beliefs. You can't do this. You'll never be able to play the piano. And if you really put your mind to it, you may. You have to dedicate it to it. It's not going to happen overnight. You're going to have to put in the time to learn, to practice, and everything. But if you really want to do it, you can work hard enough, and you can do it. It's just how much pain are you going to suffer to get to what you want? If all you want is the end result, I want to be a concert pianist, or I want to be a rock guitar player and, be on the stage and listen to everybody clap. You got to put in the time. You got to learn how to do it. So
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people would say it is about the journey, not the destination. I'm one of those people. I believe that.
Oh, yes.
I believe we're here to evolve and to learn, and I also believe in a lot of the things you do, like reincarnation. So I think it's really interesting to delve into some of those topics. What about your journey? Can you tell us a little bit about where you came from? I know that in your bio you said you were born in Ohio to a blue-collar worker, and how did that impact you, and how have you gotten to where you are, basically?
Well, I mean, when I was growing up, I didn't know that we didn't have much money. I mean, I had everything I needed. We went on family vacations every year, and that was awesome. We traveled most of the country, met people from various places. I was the type of child that didn't have a large number of friends. I mean, I always had a small number of friends, usually less than you can count on one hand. And take those friends and just, get to know them real well. And every time we traveled, I'd end up, meeting new people and talking to them and get different opinions. I seemed to always take the path less traveled. I didn't go the normal route that everybody else did. I played some sports, but sports really weren't my bag. So, I did other things. I got into music. Music was nice. I used to get lost in music. I played drums as a kid, and we had a band. Before I was out of grade school, we were out playing weddings and parties, play at the VFW, and go to this bar. Parents would sit in there and take us there and take us home. But
that's awesome.
Can't do that anymore. But anyways, it was a lot of fun when we did it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was just, those experiences just brought in so much of how to enjoy life, what really mattered.
Mm-hmm. And what does really matter, what do you think really matters about life?
And what matters to me about life is how I feel about what I'm doing. I want to enjoy what I'm doing. After high school, I did real well in grade school, got a partial scholarship to go to high school. So my parents, I was the only one of my other three siblings that went on to a private high school. And I did well in that. I did good, but I wasn't able to win a scholarship for college. So my dad approached me as I was getting out of high school, and he says, if you want, I'll take on a second job and we'll put you through college. I says, Dad, there's 3 others. You can't do that. I says, if I can't wing it, I'll figure something else. So I joined the Navy, and that was a lot of fun. Still went into, I went into the Navy nuclear power program, which was what I was leaning on going into with college. I wanted to study nuclear physics and whatnot. So it got me the experience that I wanted there. I had a good time when I was in the Navy. I advanced fairly rapidly and enjoyed it. As I got farther up into management and realized that, I was no longer the cog in the wheel. At the end of the day, I didn't say, this is what I did. I pushed Bobby's button so that Bobby would work and pushed Billy's button so that Billy would work. That didn't bring me enjoyment. So I was at the point where I could retire, got a degree in computer science, went out and worked, started my second career as a software engineer and was doing that for about 20 some years, and went back to college again and started working on life coaching. So here we are, job 3.
That's awesome.
Loving all of them.
Yeah, that's great. So speaking of your most current career, can you tell us a little bit about what your certifications are and your specialties?
My life coaching?
Well, yeah. So you're a holistic life coach. You're
Yes.
also a Reiki master.
That's
and,
correct.
And energy practitioner.
Correct.
Okay.
Reiki and energy kind of pretty much go hand in hand. And I started out with Reiki. My wife she had taken some classes in quantum touch, another energy technique that's out there. And she enjoyed it, but she was saying you really can't do anything unless you're a Reiki master. So I found some local people up in Nashville that were offering the classes to work up to Reiki master, and signed the 2 of us up for it. And we took those classes, and over probably about 5-6 months, we got certified as Reiki masters, and that was a lot of fun. Working with them was awesome. I learned a lot. I had so many experiences that I hadn't felt before.
Like what?
In the classes, you practice Reiki on one another, and just the energy you feel from somebody else's body, even when you're not touching it. You'll be within close proximity, and you can feel it going from your hands to their hands. You can feel their body energy reflecting back. It was just something I had never paid attention to before, but that whole, touchy-feely sensation, to be honest, it was there, and I just didn't realize it existed. That when you're with the person you love, you always have a deep bond, and you can feel that emotional tie. And it's just, since then, I've been feeling people's emotions a lot more, and it's good. I'm working on getting together and starting to see if I can develop my self so that I can start reading people's auras. Is the next step that I'm looking at going on. I want to work on that to not only feel the energy, but also see it, see the glow of the people, see what shades of color they have, to help see what they're going through and to help them even better.
So do you think that energy work and being able to feel it and then eventually see the color of it would help you in guiding them on their path in your life coaching practice?
Yes, because sometimes you can see, from what I've understand about auras and even with energy, is you can feel whether it's positive or negative. You can see whether or not it's enhancing them or it's taking away from them. And if they appear to be dodging the truth, that would just help with coming up with some more pointed questions to really bring them to answer, from their heart, how they feel that they can make their life better. As a life coach, I believe you don't, and I believe most life coaches don't tell you what to do. It's that they're there to be that third person, to be objective and to ask qualifying questions and probing, pointed questions to really get you to think deep and say, this is what I believe. This is how I can help myself. These are the options that are available to me. And out of those options, I feel that this one would be the best to go. And then you work with them to go that way. They may be right, they may be wrong. They may start down that path and realize that, well, this isn't really taking me to point B, I'm going to point C. So then they'll change what they want to work on, and you alter your life that way. I mean, very few roads are straight.
That's true.
You walk through the woods and you're not going to walk straight. So no, we go from here and we go there. We find out and we use our emotions to figure out, are we doing what we really want to do? Is this taking me, am I living the life I want to live?
Okay, and that's the whole point of it, I guess.
Yes.
And so, I've had some life coaching sessions with you, and you've mentioned to me before that all of the answers are within.
Correct.
Each person has the answers to their path and where they want to go and what they want to do. So
just can't see them.
Right? So basically, you're helping people see those answers? Is that what you...
Helping them understand their choices. A lot of times when you're in a situation, your emotions will cloud your mind, and you'll be thinking about one thing and you won't see some options that are available. And try to help people to be more aware of exactly what is there and what other kind of options they can take and where they think they want to go. There's various different techniques you can do. You can talk to people about their emotions and have them explain what they feel and why they feel that way and where do they think it came from and what they can do to try to overcome that. Sometimes it's going back to limiting beliefs. Well, I've always been told I can't do this. Well, it may or may not be true. You may be able to do it, find a way to do it. Mm-hmm. And it could be just that they're shunning away from it and they don't want to take that leap of faith. They don't want to...
That could be hard, yeah.
Right. They don't want to get hurt emotionally. They felt they've been hurt enough and they don't want to go. But, I mean... You take a look at a seed, you plant it in the ground, it sits there and it knows what it is, and the water goes on there and the nutrients go in and the seed's starting to grow and it's in its shell and it gets painful and all of a sudden it pops and it sprouts into a tree, and we have that, and it started from what was in and it didn't want to change. Same thing with butterflies.
That's a really good point. Going back to the emotion of it, do you have any tips for how somebody could discern between using emotion as a guide for where they should go on their path versus knowing when emotion is holding them back and clouding their judgment?
That depends on the situations and how the emotions go. I mean, there's an author, her name's Melody Fletcher. She wrote Deliberately Receiving, and it's one of the books on manifestation. She's a funny author. She's got some good books, and she groups emotions into pretty much 7 emotional groups, and based on those groups, if you're down on the bottom, if you're in emotional group number 1, you're in depression.
Okay.
Everything's happening to you. You have no control over anything because everybody else is controlling your life. Mm-hmm. So you don't see that you can bring about change. So the whole idea is all of the emotions, depression, shame, anger, all of those emotions are feedback. We have to acknowledge them. We don't want to suppress them. Now, like with anger, it's not good to have anger and lash out at people. Because the people we normally lash out at are not the people we're angry at. We lash out at the people that we love, and then we drive them away from us. And so we don't want to do that. But we do want to acknowledge that I'm angry. Mm-hmm. You need to understand I'm angry, and this is why I'm angry. This is how I can get over my anger. I mean, you see it, anyone that has raised infants. Just, if you've watched your child play, he'll sit there with a toy. And he'll get depressed. He can't make it do what he wanted it to do.
Oh, yeah.
And then he'll go through shame. And then he'll go through anger. He'll get frustrated. And then he'll throw the toy away and then he'll be happy. Well, he just went through all of his emotions and he got mad at nobody. But we forgot how to do that as adults.
Yeah.
So it's just part of life.
Let's go a little bit more into manifestation and how you get what you want in your life. I know that when I was having a session with you, you were like, what do you want more of in your life? And I wanted love at the time. That was something that I felt was really lacking. And since then, I feel so loved. And you had some really good tips. So I would love it if you could share that with our listeners.
Well, that was where we were just going through the different emotions. We had several emotional feelings that you can have. And then you do like a weighing game with it. You come up with like the top 10. And you whittle it down. You know, let's say yours was love, and then one of the other emotions could have been financial security. Well, what's more important to you? You know, between these two, between love and financial security, is which one are you going to pick and why? And then you think about that and you come up with your answer. And then you rank all the other 8 emotions that you had selected as your top emotions or emotions that were most important to you, and you see which ones really are important, and you basically run through the list twice. You run through the list and you say, okay, this is better than that, and then you whittled out, you know, like one of them out, and then you run through it again and you whittle another, and you're down to your last 2, and you're left to 2, and that says, this is what I'm going to work on. This is, to me, at this point in my life today, this is what I want to work on. And then you think about, how can I improve this emotional feeling in me? What can I do to bring about more goodness in my life?
Mm-hmm. You said to me one time that thoughts sort of have legs, or something like of that effect, where if you think something, it goes out and it brings things back to you.
That's the basis of all manifestation. The universe provides everything we want. The universe is a mirror. Okay. Our thoughts go out, and if we start the day off and we think today's going to be a real lousy day, guess what? It's going to really be lousy. Mm-hmm. But if you wake up and you take some time to think yourself and get collected together and say, I'm going to have a wonderful day, you know, and everybody you approach is going to be nice to you, and you're going to ignore that. It's like buying a brand new red car. Some car company, let's say Chevrolet, just came out with some super whammadine car, and it got this candy apple red that just looks so sweet. Mm-hmm. And there's none of them out there, and you want that. Well, you finally get that. You get that car, and then next thing you know is, well, you see another one over there, and there's another one over there, but 2 weeks ago you didn't see any. It's because that's what you're focusing on. What you're focused on is what you see back. I did the same thing when I started to learn to ride motorcycles again. I took a long hiatus in those, and it's just, you normally didn't see them on the road. I went and took the basic rider course again, had the bike and whatnot, and it's everywhere I looked, I'd see motorcycles. And it was just, life is a reflection of what you think. You know, there's Mike Dooley has a saying that thoughts become things. You know, what you think's going to come back. It may take a little while, but it will.
So if you're stuck in a cycle of negative thought, and then negativity keeps getting reflected back to you, how do you even start to break that cycle?
Well, that's where you need to work and figure out, why is there that negativity, and what's the root cause of it, and break that down. A lot of times you can use a guided meditation where you can talk someone through a story and have them imagine their life being different. I've worked with that with some people where I have them imagine that a sunbeam is sitting there and it's shining down and it's on the floor right next to them, and then they stand up and they stand in this sunbeam. And then with that, it takes them to see their future self. And then once they're there, they see what they imagine, where they really want their life to be. And help identify these are the blocks that are in my way. Sometimes it's just, what do I need to do to get over the wall? We make the wall, so we need to take the wall down.
Okay, that's interesting. And so that brings me to, maybe we should dive into a little bit of the part of your journey where you had some traumatic experiences and you had walls that maybe you didn't realize were there that you needed to take down. Can you tell us a little bit about that time in your life and what those experiences were?
Yeah, I haven't really done real well at picking wives. I got married the first time shortly after I joined the service. I was, I went into service, I was 18, and I was in there 4 years, and I figured, well, I'm old enough, I need to get married. And I think I was more thinking on, I need to get married. I wanted to be able to, my thought of a family or a good life was you're married, you have kids, and you grow a family. So I was looking for someone that was compatible with me. I found a woman who was beautiful, and we got married. We had 4 lovely sons, and there's all 4 of them are wonderful today. And one of them, matter of fact, had just visited me this week and left Friday morning and headed back to Florida. But it was good. But I was in the Navy, and when I was there, I was dedicated to my job. I was taught, or I thought I was taught by my father, that the husband provides for his family. So I always went over and above and worked extra and made sure everything was right. And I had, like I said, I got advanced well in the Navy, and I was providing for my family, but I wasn't there for my family. So my wife found someone else, and the marriage fell apart. So that lasted a while. And then I was not married for a while, and I really need someone else in my life. I mean, I've told many, many people that I could be an island. I could live somewhere and be by myself, and that's it. And I realized that, no, I can't. I need emotional attachments. I need somebody to share my life with. I can't just live for myself. I want someone to enjoy it with me. I want to grow old together with someone. So I got married again. And I married another lovely woman, and we had a good relationship. Everything was going, and several years into it, I realized that, it was quite a few years into it, that I wasn't me anymore. I didn't know who I was. I didn't want this marriage to fail, so I was altering my life to do what I thought she wanted me to do. So I wasn't me, and I was a shell. And so I started doing what I thought I wanted to do. And of course that caused a rift, and there were some other issues, and we divorced that, and I met my current wife, and she was into spirituality, into energy work, and into a lot of the mystic beliefs, and that really connected with, well, this is really what's missing from my life. I was brought up a Roman Catholic. And after high school, I really didn't do much with religion anymore, got in the military, and got more into the, well, this is black and white, here's materialistic world, we got science telling us how things are. Religion really, it's, a bunch of rubbish, it's a bunch of people are believing in something that's not really there. And got to realize, and after many, many years, that spirituality is what it's all about. We're spirits before we're human, and then we leave and we're still spirits. Our soul lives beyond us, and our soul lived before us.
Okay. So what kind of impact did those divorces have on you, and how did it sort of ignite your self-reflection, and how did you realize what lessons you needed to learn from those?
Well, the first one, not to sound crass, but it really didn't affect me. I mean, I was married, then I was divorced. I had to live somewhere else to live, but I delved more into my job. I just buried myself into what I was doing. I found a place to live where I could be with people that I wouldn't just go hit the bars at night and turn into an alcoholic. I easily saw myself doing that.
Okay.
So when I was looking for a place to live, since I had my 4 sons, and at the time, 2 of their cousins were living with us also. So I would get 6 boys on the weekend when I would get it, and that was always a blast. The oldest one was 10.
Mm-hmm.
The youngest one was, 3 or so. And we would just be in Charleston and go around. So I couldn't be at a place where I was in a house where it was a bunch of guys and, beer and alcohol and just parties and poker games or whatever. So I found a lady that had a share rental in Charleston, and I rented a room from her. So I, had access to common areas, and I was honest with her up front and said that I have, boys that I would have over here on the weekend. I slept on the floor, some slept in the bed. We had a good time, and they got to know her, and we even all of us got together and went camping a couple times and whatnot, but it was just a real good experience, and that helped me a lot, but it didn't identify with what I was doing wrong. So transferred, got married the second time, and after the big crash with where I found myself as what I felt like was a hollow shell, I said, I'm doing something wrong.
Gotcha. So it really hit home.
That's the one that really hit me home, that I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Okay.
And my current wife's helped me out a lot. She's pointed me in directions and opened my eyes to things that I just hadn't been aware of, and spirituality is pretty much the biggest one. When I left the house and joined the Navy, it was, okay, I need to do good at what I'm doing. I need to learn things. And I was learning things, but all the learning involved, the physical sciences. Yeah. And there wasn't, the military, it all teaches you how to do your job. This is what you need to do. It's science, what we call material science. So, and that's all it works on. They don't deal on, feelings and whatnot. You got a job to do, get it done.
Right.
So that's pretty much what started it, and went on down the path with that. And I didn't maintain my connection with the church. That may have changed me. My first wife, her mother was I forget what religion she was brought up, Episcopalian or something. Her father was pretty much non-denominational, so she wasn't brought up going to church. So we really drifted away from the church, didn't really bring the kids up with a religious background.
Mm-hmm.
But they're all doing real well now. My oldest son is real big in his church, and my second son just got married and went to. He had his wedding earlier this year. I went to that in Washington State. He's going to get out of the military and settle back down in Florida. That's where their mom is, so they're all migrating on back down to her place,
Gotcha.
Which is nice.
Yeah. Well, so it does, when you talk about your first marriage, it seems like you were a little detached from it. So or at least the way you talked about it, so is love something that you feel like you have more of in your life now, and because of spirituality?
Oh, yes,
Okay.
Definitely so. Even I've noticed it a lot with people I meet when just normal interactions. I see people being more open, more friendly when I see him. And that's one of the reasons I want to get into aura reading, is I feel that they're sensing some of that emotions that are in me, and it's having an effect on them, because we are beings, we're feeling beings, and we see things, we feel things, and they change us. If you're walking somewhere and you see somebody that looks scary, well, you get skittish. You're picking up on their emotions. But if you see somebody that's happy, someone that's joyous, you relish in it. And it's funny because way back, when the drug culture started, people were doing drugs, and And everybody thought, well, this is bad. Some of them are bad. But what the drugs did for a lot of the people is it put them in the mindset that they were trying to reach nirvana. Mm-hmm. They were trying to experience heaven on earth. They wanted to be released to the chains of this world and feel what it like to be a spiritual body. And that's where they were going. There are several of them that did that. I was reading a book that he was a neuroscience doctor, taught at a teaching hospital, and he underwent 7 to 10 day coma where his brain was almost dead. They were getting ready to pull the plug and call him brain dead, and he recovered. And he had this experience, and since then he's been trying to, work through, what did I feel? Mm-hmm. All the facts, all the medical facts we have said his brain was dead. Mm-hmm. But he had the most loving experience in that coma. And then he came back to life, and he's, working with people, trying to help them. He met some people, and they went swimming with the whales, and the one of the persons he was with was one of these early druggies, if you want to use the word, and mm-hmm. he had so much love for everything that when they were all together, it amplified everybody's love, and they were swimming with the whales, and they came up close to them, and some of the other whale watchers around there started coming, and then the whales went away. So it's just, I believe that we feel other people's emotions, and it has a positive effect on us.
Okay. So that brings me to a statement that you made in your bio on your website, where you committed your life to reestablishing balance in the universe. And it seemed a little related to me about what we're talking about with emotion and affecting each other. What does it mean to have balance in the universe?
Well, we've come a long ways. Remember the end of the world talk back when the Aztec calendar ended in December 17th, 2012. 2012. It was going to be the end of the world.
Yeah, I remember.
And this whole thing we're cyclic. That signified right around there was when we entered the age of Aquarius, which I found really hysterical that the song from the drug era was, the age of Aquarius. And here the age of Aquarius is the midday noon of our cycle. We have the zodiac signs when we move into that area. About every 26,000 years, we go through a full day-night cycle of human evolving. And every 13,000 years, we have a midnight and we have a noon. And so it cycles from one of those, and we've just recently entered the noon. People are talking about the golden age, when we live heaven on earth, when we have God's divine pure conscious come down here and shed on the world, and everybody gets their emotional state, their energy level. They're just filled with this energy, and as long as they can handle it, they'll evolve into better beings. People look at the Bible. They talk about how long some of the people lived in the early books of the Bible, 938 years. And I know when I was a kid and I was reading the Bible, who can live 938 years, And if we have this pure love from God coming down from the heavens, from the center of the universe, and it's hitting us, and we're living in this golden age, I believe we will see that. I don't know if we will physically see it, but I believe that the golden age is coming again soon. It'll be here, and we'll have the next evolution in the human life, and we'll evolve as a species, evolve as a planet, and just have more spirituality everywhere.
So is your role in life to help raise that consciousness?
Yes.
Okay.
I want to help people raise the consciousness so that they're they're ready to receive more of this pure divine consciousness that's going to be coming. We can do it. It was lost after the last golden age. They had about 4,000 years of the golden age, and then the story goes they get smaller and smaller. But during the golden age, they pretty much stop writing, and they really don't have a language because they communicate through other means. And then the amount of this pure consciousness, we go out of this wave and we get into less and less of it, and they try to pass it down, and they start developing the written word. And that's where a lot of our old scripts are in Sanskrit, so one of the oldest languages they have, and they're trying to understand what's going on. They wrote a lot of it in code, and they had hidden meanings in some of the words. They had hidden meanings in their symbols so that it couldn't be abused by someone who was trying to do something wrong with it. So we'll see how that goes.
Sure. So if we actually look at history books and look at history, we can sort of see the cycles from a perspective that's maybe not quite as raised. Would you agree with that?
Hopefully, but the problem they got with history books is the victors always write the history book. So
that makes sense.
I mean,
true.
Just look at it. Yeah, you look at the Civil War. I mean, it's pretty well biased. It was written by the winners. Whereas a lot of the old history, like the last golden age, supposedly started at the end of the Ice Age. And that would have been around when we had our midnight in our cycle, and that's when everything went, and it started and it evolved, and then we got into our language, they got into the religions, and it went down from there. And that a lot of it initially was transferred word of mouth. They taught people that, and this is how it goes, this is what you need to do, this is how you did it. And they refer to them as the sacred science and secret societies. And I believe there's a lot of truth in that.
Mm-hmm. So how did you learn about these cycles? Was it something that came through like the Reiki training, or?
No, it was just other reading I had picked up. After I was reading and studied some Reiki, since we're living here in the United States, and the oldest people we have here are Native Americans. So I started looking into Native American teachings and what did their medicine people do? How did the Native Americans live? And why did the Native Americans not overpopulate the area like the white man did in Europe and move here? There's some trying to grasp my mind around why did all these things happen, and what happened, and why did we just push them aside? And, we treated them as savages, yet they may have had better answers than what we did. We just didn't accept it.
Right. Okay. So I want to go back a little bit to your journey, and where you said you had your aha moment sort of after your second divorce. In your bio, you had said after that, I think around that time frame, you thought you had fixed yourself. Maybe that was before your second divorce. You thought you had fixed yourself. And the word fix was really interesting to me because I guess my question is, can we really fix ourselves?
Well, fix sounded right at the time. But I mean, it's basically, I think I came to grips with who I am and where I really want to be, and where do I want to go? What do I want to do while I'm in the physical form? How do I want to help people? And I decided that, I believe almost all religions are based on love. You can dig into it, and deep down, any religion, even though they talk bad about other religions, they teach you should love yourself, you should love your neighbor. So we as a people need to love everybody. I mean, it's not, we shouldn't be fighting. We need to get along. We need to play nice in the sandbox together. So,
absolutely. Absolutely. So I guess the last thing that I really want to ask you about is, how do you know, or how does a person know when they're healed from a traumatic event like that? And how do they even start to heal?
Well, it's kind of like when you take a road trip without a map, I'm in Boston, Massachusetts. I want to go to Los Angeles. Well, you get in a car and you drive. You don't know how you're going to get there. Once you get there, you know it. So
that's
it's
true.
Like one of those, wow, how did I get there?
Yeah, the answers
and then
are
you look
inside
back
you.
on everything, and it was this. You may have went down to Florida first. You might have went up to North Dakota. Could have went down through Arizona, New Mexico. It's just millions of ways to get there, and you ultimately, once you're there, you realize it, and it's just, wow, it happened. It's the same thing with manifestation. It's not something you can see. It's something that, how did I get here? This is what I wanted. This is what I asked for.
Yeah.
And most recently, my wife and I, we were looking for like 2 years. I was in a house. I was in a subdivision. And I'd go outside in the backyard, and I'd see 8 to 10 neighbor houses, and that's all I'd see. And I'd say, I really wanted something different when I came here to Tennessee. I wanted something to where I could enjoy nature. I wanted room. I wanted, beauty. And so we were looking. We had a place to live in, so it wasn't like I had to find a place. So, the right place will come around. I worked with a realtor, and she was, a friend of ours, and she was real nice. And she, about a little over 2 years, and we found this house, and it was just awesome. 2 acres on a lake. And the house was constructed. It was framed, all one floor, so I can get old and not have to worry about falling down the stairs. And it's just, it's like it happened, and wow.
Yeah.
This is what we wanted.
But you had to ask for it, right? Or
right.
That's
You
the point.
have to show up. You can't just say, I want to manifest this, and then go to bed and wait for it to show up. You got to show up. You got to be there. You got to involve. The only way the universe is going to bring you what you want is to partake with the universe. It's working with a lot of different people. Look at how many people, how many souls we got around here. Each one has their own wishes, You don't want to get your manifestation thoughts into, something that says, I want a specific person, or I want this specific job, or I want this. You need to be a little more generalized on what you want to manifest. And then you take those particulars, and that's what you use for encouragement. You use those to say, okay, when I get this, this is going to be great. This is what it's going to be like, Because chances are, what you really were concentrating on and your specifics aren't going to be as good as what the universe is going to bring you. It's going to make it even better than what you can imagine.
That's
you just
really
have
awesome.
to wait for it.
Yeah, in the right time.
Yes, and then see it. Use your emotions to know whether you're going the right way or not. The emotions are your big feedback system.
Okay. Well, that's just awesome information, and I'm so glad you shared it with us. Is there anything else you'd like to say about manifestation before we wrap up today?
It's wonderful. I love it.
Me too. All right. Well, thank you so much, James. James is just awesome. To find the links and resources he mentioned throughout our discussion, go to the show notes at onbeinghumanpodcast.com/episodes/003. And remember to leave comments on the show notes so I know what you think. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Tune in weekly at onbeinghumanpodcast.com for more soul-exposing explorations of what it means to be human. Until next week, love to you all.